Whenever people say that like, oh, you're not gonna make enough money in the interior design industry, don't listen to them. Not everyone is going to like your design, and it is okay. Our design homework, it will take up the majority of your time. There are designers out there who did not go to school, but they are very successful. I feel like it's been so long since I've actually got the chance to sit down and talk right to you guys. It's been just crazy. I get a lot of DMs and questions on my videos, and they're all pretty much the same. So I decided to address all of them in this video so everyone can benefit from this and everyone can learn. So we have a lot to cover. So let's get started. Do I have to be good at drawing in order to become an interior designer? We are starting with the good question. Get ready for this unpopular opinion. Well, it's not really an unpopular opinion, but my answer to that is no. You do not have to be good at drawing in order to become an interior designer. I mean, guys, it is 2021. We have advanced so much in technology nowadays, and I feel like that's where interior design has gone to. I mean, the power of software. If you were to ask me 10 years ago, then I probably would have said yes. But, you know, it also depends on the type of interior designer that you are. I know that there are some people out there that like to draw things out for their client, either because they want to or because they're really good at it. But never have I ever come across an instance where I had to draw something out for a client. But you do have to learn the basics on how to draw out a simple floor plan or something simple, you know, to get your point across, but you don't have to be necessarily fantastic at creating these 3D views. I'm sure there are other designers that will argue and say that drawing is an essential skill to have in order to become an interior designer, but I just feel like that is a older generation that relies on that skill and believes that that is essential because of the way that, you know, they probably went to school and had to, you know, learn how to hand draft and everything. So we are breaking the myth here, and I'm telling you guys it is not necessary. You guys watching are the future of design, and we are just moving towards technology nowadays. So that's my answer on that. Moving on. Can I get an interior design job without experience or school? Whew. Get ready for this one because I have a lot to say about this question. And I will say that many of the people that reached out to me on this particular question are people who went to school. They went all 4 years. They got their bachelor's or associates in a field that is completely different or maybe a little bit similar to interior design. And then they figure out that they want to study interior design and that is their passion. Well, I say it's never too late to go back to school and, you know, learn and follow your dreams and passion. And yes, it may seem daunting to go back and do it all over again, but do you want to live in what ifs? Do you want to continue working at that job that you don't want? The time is not, my friend. So follow your passion, follow your dreams. It's never too late. So to answer this question, yes and no. If you want to be a commercial interior designer, you want to design hospitals, hotels, office spaces, you know, you want to design more into the commercial, bigger areas of interiors, then my answer to that is yes, you do need to go to school. Many of these corporate companies or design firms want people who have some type of educational background, associates or bachelor's degrees, or maybe a certificate. It is just really important to get school, especially in the commercial side, because there's just a lot of things to consider when you are designing commercial spaces. You gotta learn the big programs like Revit or AutoCAD, and those are some really, well, Revit is more intricate and a little more tough to learn on your own. You gotta learn the safety codes because there has to be clearance for people in ADA. Know how to space plan a really big space. I do teach you guys a few things here and there on my channel, but I can't teach you everything, which is why school is, I encourage it if you want to be on the commercial side. Now, for residential, you can get away without any school or experience, but hear me out. If you do have an educational background and you are applying to these residential design firms, having that certificate or diploma will really help you out. It shows the employers that you have dedicated time to study interior design, you put in the work, to actually learn a little bit more about it, and it will make you a great asset to the team because everyone wants someone who's certified or have some type of educational background. If you didn't go to school, you will probably have to work 10 times harder than someone who did go to school, because when employers or the head of the company, they're looking at the resumes and they see someone who has school experience versus someone who didn't have school experience, they are most likely going to go with the person with schooling. And yes, it is unfortunate, but that is just how many people think, unless you can prove them wrong. I will say that there are designers out there who did not go to school, but they are very successful, and that is because they have that natural talent and they worked their butt off to get that title, make it into this industry. So if you don't want to go to school, but you feel that burning passion inside you, you have the ambition to make it through the interior design industry without school, you just have to show that you have that creative outlet, you have that natural ability. Maybe you can prove these employers wrong. And it just comes down to portfolio, just showing your work and showing your designs speak louder than on your resume, if that makes sense, because everyone wants to see if you're able to pull off and design a really great space. I also want to touch up and say that I do have friends that did not go to school, but they are killing it in the game because, again, it just comes down to that natural ability. They are personable, they have the eye for design, and they also mentioned that they have connected with other successful interior designers and they've shadowed them to get a feel for what it is like to be in the interior design industry. I know this was a very long answer, but just to kind of wrap it up, we're not here to shame anyone who didn't go to school because we never know what people's situations are like, nor are we here to look down at someone who got their associate's or certificate rather than a bachelor's. In this era, anything is possible. The person in charge for, making sure your dreams come true is yourself. There's a bunch of tools online nowadays to help you kind of learn a little bit more about your career. There's online classes, there's YouTube. What are the most important things to learn in order to become an interior designer? There is a lot, but I'm just going to kind of sum it up and just tell you guys a few things that I think are important and a few pointers. Number one, not everyone is going to like your design, and it is okay. Don't get offended, don't take it personal. In this field, you have to be willing to take constructive criticism. I know it's hard to not take it personal because you poured in all your hard work and dedication to make this design perfect, only for your professor or the client to not like it. They may see things that you necessarily don't see. Especially when it comes down to the client, you want to make sure that they are 100% comfortable and happy with the design. The next thing is, design is not just how it looks, but how it functions. And yes, we want to create spaces that are beautiful and eye-catching, but is it practical? Is it functional? Is there a walkway? Can people get through? Can people get in and out easily? Am I going to hit my head on something? Are the materials safe? Will that object or furniture piece fit in the room? What I like to do is fully envision myself in the client space, and even if that means getting up and busting out the tape measure, I really like to kind of place myself in their shoes and kind of live their life in a way, from day-to-day basis. How do they maneuver? How do they move around this space? What do they like to do? It really comes down to making sure that not only is the design, eye-catching and pleasing, but will it work for them in their everyday life? Sometimes I even think what is that called? Those goggle glasses that goes in your eyes. I forget what it's called. I feel like that could be really beneficial for interior designers to somehow take everything that they designed and place it on this 3D animation so you can walk through the space and kind of really live how the room is like. I hope I'm making sense. Please let me know if I'm making sense. But I'm sure there is already something like that invented, but I feel like every designer should have access to it. Anyways, losing touch here. The next thing is attention to detail. We are known to be professionals in this field. It's the little details that make a huge impact, and that could be listening to the little tiny requests that your client makes. For example, I had this client that wanted me to find a spot for their little TV speakers, and I could have easily, brushed that off, put on the back burner, or forgotten about it. But it's these little things and requests that clients make that matter the most to them. And it may not be like the big thing for the design, but when you listen to them and you include that in the design, they feel like they're being heard. The other details is double, triple checking the design. I like to comb through my construction drawings and designs and check for any discrepancies, and also the budget too, because when we're talking about money, I'm sure that you don't want to cover for any expense, so it's always a great idea to double check everything. Whew, man, that is a lot of information so far. I hope you guys are still with me. All right, so we're gonna move on to the next question, and that is, how long was school and where did you go to school? So school can take anywhere from 2 to 4 years. Again, it depends on if you want to go for your associates or bachelor's. I went to an all 4-year college, and the college that I went to was named Harrington College of Design in Chicago. Before you look it up, it's no longer existent. It shut down, but it joined forces with Columbia College of Design. Columbia College. It was honestly such a shame because I really loved that school, and when I was looking for a college, I wanted to find a school that its primary focus was interior design, and that is what that college primary focus was on. But anyways, enough talking about it because it's no longer existent. What was your annual starting pay and current pay? Well, I'm not going to tell you guys my current pay, but I will share my salaries throughout the years. When I first graduated, fresh out of college, my first real interior design job, I was making around $34,000 a year. Over the years, I did get, raise, I did get bonuses. From me switching jobs, I was able to increase my salary to $50,000 as a senior interior designer. But I feel as though if I'd moved jobs a little bit more frequently, I probably would have been able to raise my pay a little bit more. Now, I'm not telling you guys to job hop like every 6 months or so. I saw something on TikTok that said that if you switch jobs maybe like 1 or 2 years, you could potentially increase your salary by a good amount. I would say that it was comfortable money, it was good money. I was able to pay my school loans. I was still able to have like a life outside of design and, pay for things that I wanted to. Whenever people say that like, oh, you're not going to make enough money in the interior design industry, don't listen to them. There is good money, and I will say that the starting off pay may not be the greatest, but that could be different wherever you're based on. And I mean, the company that I first started was a small company, so of course they're gonna pay less. So it all depends on your location, the company. Don't listen to those haters saying that you're not gonna make any money. I was making a good amount of money. Next question is, should I get my bachelor's or associates? I get this question a lot too, but I feel like this depends on your personal life and if it's gonna work out for you to go 4 years or 2 years. I don't want to be in charge of making those decisions for you guys because I don't know your whole backstory or your life situation. So, I mean, people turn to design after studying for 4 years and they just want to go to school for 2 years max. They don't want to go through everything all over again. So it just depends on preference. If you have the time and money to go all 4 years, or if you rather get it over done and quickly, go for 2 years. So that's kind of my take on that. I don't want to make that decision for you guys. It's all up to you. It's all up to you. Does interior design take up much of your time? Would you have enough time to have a kid and still work? Yes and no. When I was working for the residential design firm, it felt like college all over again because there was projects after projects, there was presentation dates, there was making sure that the model was complete, and it was very fast-paced. I found myself working on the weekends and working after work, putting a lot of overtime hours in there because, we were really bombarded with all these projects, which is good. It was a little hard to manage life and work. Although I loved it, but there were times where it did get a little overwhelming because, you know, there are real life deadlines you have to meet. So that was my take on residential. But when it came to commercial, it felt more like a regular 9 to 5 job, and I hardly ever had any overtime hours or had to stay after work to finish something up. There was like 1 or 2 instances, but that was about it. And I had, you know, a regular life after work. I did whatever I wanted on the weekends. I had time for family or whatever. It all depends on the company and the type of work that you want to do. There are some design jobs out there that will take up the majority of your time, and you know, you could get a regular like 9 to 5 design job and be comfortably okay. Now, when it comes to starting your own business, I know that there are designers who have their own business and they also have full-blown families. They have a kid, they have a husband, and it's not easy, but they can make it work. So if they could do it, you could do it, and I'm sure it is possible. Anything is possible. We have 2 more questions and then we're done. What did you even do in interior design school, and what classes did you take? So I'm briefly going to tell you what I did in design school. Well, I took the basic classes like math, science, English my first year. I took art 101. There was art history class where you have to learn about the history of like interiors and architecture. There is also a lot of software programs, so I got to learn Revit, AutoCAD, Photoshop, InDesign, SketchUp, Illustrator. I think that's about it. 3D Max. There was a textiles class that I took, but to be honest, I don't really remember much of it. Lighting class that I don't really remember much of it. Codes class, that's where you learn about the safety codes and clearance stuff. Then there is the basic business class where they teach you about interior design business. I took some conceptual classes, CAD detailing, where they show you how to make section cuts in AutoCAD, elevations, detailed drawings, electrical layouts, and then there's also the regular interior design courses like interior design 1, interior design 2, interior design 3, and their thesis. So that's just a brief kind of overview of my experience in school and what I learned. But overall, my school experience was great. I think there was a time when I was coloring in class and I was like, wow, I'm going to school and I get to color and draw, like this is amazing. The homework, let me brush up on the homework. It's not like other colleges courses and classes and homework. Our design homework, it will take up the majority of your time. I didn't really have a life when I was in college. You were either trying to create a design or you were trying to, you know, I did take a 3D model class where you had to construct a design with like sticks or foam. It's gonna take up a lot of your time. You have to be willing to put in the effort, and you might have no life. Sorry to say that, but that's just how it is. Our homework is not like everybody else's. I remember when I was in college and people would be like, oh, I'm done with my homework, and I'd be like, no, I'm not done with my homework. I still have so much stuff to do. The last question is, how long have you been an interior designer? And if I like it. The answer is, I've been in the field for 8 years, and I truly, truly still enjoy every part of design. I mean, it does get a little stressful, a little frustrating, and you do get a little bit burnt out, but I have no regrets about this career. I always knew like I wanted to be in the creative industry. I truly love it. I have the passion for it. I'm happy. That's like what matters to me, is that I'm happy with what I am doing. Well, that is it for this video. I know this was a lot that I covered and a lot for you guys to take in, but I hope that you leave watching this video feeling more confident in your choice of becoming an interior designer. Hopefully I convinced you. I do want to state that everything that I mentioned is kind of like my own personal opinion in a way, but it's also a mix of what I have seen in the industry and what I have endured. If you guys felt like these answers were great, or you felt like I answered your question, give this video a thumbs up. This was actually really fun to kind of sit down and get, you know, more open with you guys. I will note that I know a lot of you guys have asked me questions about my business and how I started and the qualifications. I will make that into a separate video because I feel like that needs its own separate video to talk about, because there's just so much I want to cover on that. And I also want to briefly take the time to thank everyone who has subscribed and joined on board. I can't believe how much this channel has been growing. I truly, truly appreciate you guys, and I know I'm not always on time with uploading videos, but just know that I'm trying my best, and life does get a little hectic with my business and everything. But yeah, just I'll catch you guys in the next video. So peace.